Dude, they could have gotten so many more. I'm pissed, livid. Like they got the shoddy and they haven't even killed 5 people yet. Angry. Oh no. Is that the Fandom Phantom?
Bitch talking shit on Columbine, huh? He's fucking romanticizing these fucking killers, huh? Bitch, take this signed Garfield pillow. Lasagna and cock, bitch. This is stupid. What you're saying is stupid. And one of these days, you'll realize this. And you'll grow out of it. And being edgy isn't cool. It's just really stupid. And when you grow up, you'll understand these things.
Thank you, Fandom Phantom, for showing me the error of my ways. I really needed this reality check.
Hey, no problem. Anytime, man.
Bruh.
Hello everybody, it's me, the Fandom Phantom. I couldn't come up with a better name for this series, so I decided, hey, you know, Fandom, Phantom, we're going after really shitty fandoms. Phantom sounds like the word fandom, so I put them together and there you go, Fandom Phantom, very original. So on April 20th, 1999, 2 armed gunmen entered Columbine High School and began opening fire. The 2 gunmen were actually students at the Columbine High School, and their names were Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris. You may not really want to believe me when I say this, and believe me, I don't want to believe myself either, but Columbine has attracted the attention of mostly edgy teenagers and people who seem to romanticize these people. It's essentially a fandom, and they call themselves the Columbiners. Very cheeky and original, I know. Today we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about Columbine itself, the Columbine community, how Columbine has affected school shootings, and also what can we do to prevent future school shootings. So let's get right into it.
Jefferson County 911.
Yes, I am a teacher at Columbine High School. There is a student here with a gun. He has shot out a window. I believe one I've been
Columbine High School.
I don't know what's in my shoulder. So bad. I know it's too bad. He's right here. I think he's
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Patty.
Patty?
Yelling everybody get up right now. Please go to the library. He's scaring everybody get up right now.
Okay.
Please don't.
Death has always been a subject of fascination for people, and the story of Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris is a fascinating one for sure, so I feel like it's a good place to start. In high school, Dylan and Eric were the bottom of the food chain. Jocks in the school would harass and bully them daily. This constant harassment led to their bitter hatred for the school itself. It's unknown exactly when Dylan and Eric had began to plan this attack, but thanks to journal entries the killers left behind, as well as a series of tapes that the killers made documenting the production of their plan known as the basement tapes, we can piece together a rough estimate. Let me interrupt this video to let you guys know that there are a lot of code names and terms that you need to familiarize yourself with going forward. So let's go ahead and get the important ones out there right now. There are 3 big ones. Reb, which is short for rebel. This is Eric Harris's code name. V, or vodka, is Dylan Klebold. And NBK was Dylan and Eric's code name for the upcoming assault. And let me go off on another quick little tangent about Eric Harris's journal. I put up with a lot. There's a reason that I've taken a while to make this video. Listening to this dude's journal is the equivalent of listening to an edgy 12-year-old ramble and ramble and ramble on. Like every other sentence in this dude's journal is, I'm gonna burn the whole city down and there's gonna be napalm everywhere and there's gonna be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of deaths and I'm gonna murder everybody because society and I hate people and blah blah blah. I put up with a lot. But this shit was too much.
Eric will be getting further away soon. I'll have less than nothing. How normal. I wanted to love. I wanted to be happy in ambitions and free and nice and good and ignorant. Everyone abandoned me. Will get me a gun. I'll go on my killing spree against anyone I want.
These are excerpts from one of Dylan Klebold's journal entries dated November 3rd, 1997. This is an important one because not only is it the first mention of Eric Harris by name, but it is also Dylan's first mention of a desire to kill. Self-awareness is a wonderful thing. I know I will die soon. So will you and everyone else. Maybe we'll be lucky and a comet will smash us back to day one. This was Eric Harris's first journal entry, dated April 10th, 1998. Now, if I had to guess, given Harris's journal being filled with violent fantasies and Dylan's journal being filled with his feelings of depression and seeking meaning in life through superiority, one day Dylan may have hinted at the idea to Harris and he liked the idea. But it wasn't until January 30th, 1998, where Dylan and Eric were arrested for breaking into a van and stealing equipment that NBK became a reality. Isn't America supposed to be the land of the free? How come, if I'm free, I can't deprive a stupid fucking dumb shit from his possessions if he leaves them sitting in the front seat of his fucking van out in plain sight and in the middle of fucking nowhere on a fry fucking day night? Natural selection. The fucker should be shot.
Either I'll commit suicide, or I'll get with and it will be NBK for us.
This is the earliest use of the term NBK in relation to the attack. Shortly after, in the same journal entry, Dylan states,
I'd slit my wrist and blow up Atlanta strapped to my neck.
Atlanta is one of the bombs that Eric Harris had made. According to Eric's journal, the shotguns, 9mm carbine along with 250 9mm rounds, 15 12-gauge slugs, 40 shotgun shells, 2 switchblades, and 4 10-round clips for the carbine were acquired on November 22nd, 1998. These weapons were purchased at a gun show, likely by Robin Anderson, a classmate and close friend of Dylan's. Obtaining these weapons seemed to have boosted Eric Harris's confidence significantly. This is what I am motivated for. This is my goal. This is what I want to do with my life. You know what's weird? I don't feel like punching through a door because of the flask deal. Probably because I'm fucking armed. I feel more confident, stronger, and even more godlike. I have confidence in my ability to deceive people. Hopefully I'll make it to April. They tested the firearms on December 3rd, 1998. There's a big gap in Harris's journal between December 29th, 1998 and April 3rd, 1999. Months have passed. It's the first Friday night in the final month. Much shit has happened. Vodka has a Tech 9. We test fired all of our babies. We have 6 time clocks ready, 39 crickets, 24 pipe bombs, and the napalm is under construction. Right now, I'm trying to get fucked and trying to finish off these time bombs.
I hope we kill 250. It will be the most nerve-wracking 15 minutes of my life. After the bombs are set and we're waiting to charge through the school, seconds will be like hours. I can't wait.
This was Harris's last journal entry before the shooting. I hate you people for leaving me out of so many fun things. And no, don't fucking say, well, that's your fault, because it isn't. You people had my phone number, and I asked and all, but no. No, don't let that weird-looking Eric kid come along. Oh, fucking no. So for whatever reason, I've seen this floating out there all over the place. I've seen it in the media, I've seen it from the shit fan base, I've seen it everywhere. People like to victimize Dylan Klebold. The reason they do this is because in Dylan Klebold's journal, he's very, very depressed. He is a sad boy in his journal. Whereas Eric Harris in his journal is a very edgy edgelord. I want to kill everybody, fuck everybody, I'm going to be a lot more outward with my aggression. What they believe is that Eric Harris took advantage of Dylan Klebold in order to carry out the assault. Bullshit. When you read the journals and you look at the times of when everything was written, the picture becomes surprisingly clear. In almost every single way, Dylan Klebold is the first to mention anything. He's the first to reference NBK under the context of it being a massacre. In one of his journal entries, he says, well, I'm going to get with blank, and I'm going to go and kill a bunch of people. Why would the name be scratched out? Why would it be, I'm going to get with blank and kill a bunch of people? If the man had written Reb or Eric Harris or anything in relation to Eric, that name would not have been blocked out. It would not have been scratched out by the authorities. See, I believe that Dylan Klebold had wanted to do this with someone. I don't know who, so we're just going to go ahead and say, let's say Chris, alright? Chris wasn't really into it, and so Dylan backed off, and he went to his other friend, Eric Harris. Eric Harris is a lot easier to convince about this because He's very outwardly aggressive. He's very open about his distaste for the school and society and everything in general, so he's much easier to persuade about it. He could have even gone to Eric Harris and said directly, hey Eric, you and me, April 20th, let's go on a killing spree. Of course, that probably isn't actually what happened. See, to them, NBK was probably a last resort, and they probably were referencing it as something that they knew they probably weren't ever going to actually do, but it was kind of a coping mechanism for them. And it wasn't until January 30th, 1998 that they were arrested under felony charges. That's fucking impactful. That's on your record. That's not getting off your record, okay? At that point, they figure they have nothing to lose, so why not make NBK a reality? And if you pay attention to their journals, it's around January 30th onward that they become a lot more open about NBK and discussing it as a reality as opposed to a possibility. The two of them decided ultimately, hey, well, you know what? Our lives are fucked. Let's go kill everybody. Here's what I don't understand. I don't get why people go out there and have to try to defend Dylan Klebold just because, oh, well, Dylan was really depressed and he was suicidal and he talked about being depressed. You don't think Eric Harris was depressed? This motherfucker talked about it in his journal multiple times. The only difference between the two of them is that Eric Harris was a lot more subtle with it, as opposed to Dylan. They're kind of an inverse. Dylan Klebold is less outward about his anger, and he's more outward about his depression, whereas Eric Harris is more outward about his anger and less outward about his depression. So why the fuck is everybody trying to say that Dylan Klebold is less responsible for the massacre as Eric Harris? It's bullshit. Absolute bullshit. If you pay attention to the way that they were handling the massacre, you'll see Dylan Klebold, he felt like a fucking god on that day. And that was Dylan's thing. I mean, it was both of their thing, but it was mostly Dylan. He had a goddamn god complex. He'd constantly say he's so fucking godlike and everyone else is below him. He's out of touch. What don't you guys get about that, alright? Now, I'm sure the majority of us, we look at Columbine and we say, oh, well, it's both of their faults. They're both fucking psycho, obviously. They shot 13 fucking people. But to go out there and go as far as to say, well, Columbine was just one dude who just was fucking controlling this other guy to go and shoot a bunch of people is downright offensive to the actual people who got murdered by Dylan. Oh, well, I know you got killed by Dylan, but we're gonna have to excuse that because he didn't actually want to do it. Bullshit. Do not listen to anybody who tries to say that Dylan is less responsible for the massacre than Eric, just because, oh, well, he's depressed or whatever. Here's the thing about this community. They fabricate stories all the fucking time. I've seen stories out there where they say that Dylan Klebold didn't want to kill himself at the end of the massacre, so Eric Harris had to shoot Dylan, and then he shot himself. Bullshit. Even if you look at the fucking photo of their bodies, Dylan's blood is on Eric Harris's leg, so he very clearly killed himself after. There's another story that I heard about how, oh, well, after Eric Harris died, Dylan Klebold was crying over his body over his lost friend. Essentially, they're trying to create sympathy for this guy. Now, is it true that Dylan Klebold was possibly contemplating before he shot himself? Yes, it is very possible. But the reality of the situation is, this dude was not crying over his lost friend. If you're actually interested in the story, you're not going to read a report saying, oh, well, Dylan Klebold contemplated suicide before he killed himself, and spin that in a way of, oh, he was crying over his lost friend. Oh, God, the tragic end of Reb, and now here comes vodka next, and then he kills himself, and it was such a sad, sad ending. No, don't do that. This community is almost as out of touch as them, because they don't see these people as people. They see them as characters, and they'll go out of their way to fabricate stories to make those characters more likable. And that is a big fucking problem. They'll create this story. It's almost like a high school drama to them, because, you know, most of the people in this fan base are in high school right now. I don't even have anything else to say on this. As to how anybody could possibly try and create sympathy for this guy. Say, oh, he was depressed, so just don't fucking pay attention to what they're saying. He wasn't a monster. He wasn't an evil person. That's bullshit. He killed 13 people. What don't you get about that? Wrap your fucking head around it, because it's the truth. On April 20th, 1999, Eric and Dylan entered Columbine High School and murdered 12 students, 1 teacher, before killing themselves. When reading the transcripts of their basement tapes, however, their original plan would have been far more lethal. Their plan was to bomb the school's cafeteria. They had set the bombs off to go in the middle of the lunch hour, resulting in the maximum amount of casualties. As the bombs went off, Dylan and Eric would have been positioned outside of the school, shooting any survivors who were trying to flee. Thankfully, this did not happen and the bombs never went off. Dylan and Eric then resorted to their plan B, an assault on the school. Their shooting began outside, killing Rachel Scott, Danielle Rochberg, and injuring Richard Castillo, Lance Kirkland, Sean Graves, Michael Johnson, Mark Taylor, and Anne-Marie Hochhalter. One thing of note about Dylan and Eric's first victim, Rachel Scott, is that in a leaked clip of the basement tapes, the killers reference Rachel by name.
Two girls sitting next to you, they probably want you to shut the fuck up too. These are Rachel and Rachel. Fucking crazy shit. You should try to vote this. You fucking know fucking Christianity and God can go forward. What do you do? What I do? I want to shoot you in the eye. Yeah. How about it? Let's tell you fucking Christian like that asshole.
Dylan and Eric then made entry into the school, murdering Dave Sanders and injuring Brian Anderson, Patty Nielsen, Stephanie Munson, Nicholas Foss, Joyce Janowski, Adam Kyler, and Trista Morel. In the library, they then murdered Kyle Velasquez, Steve Kernow, Cassie Bernal, Isaiah Scholes, Matthew Ketcher, Lauren Townsend, John Tomlin, Kelly Fleming, Danielle Mauser, Corey DePuter, and injuring Evan Todd, McKay Hall, Patrick Ireland, Daniel Steepleton, Casey Rugsiger, Lisa Cruz, Valen Schnur, Mark Kington, Nicole Nolan, Jenna Park, Jennifer Doyle, and Austin Eubanks. The library is without a doubt where the worst of the massacre took place. The victims hid under the tables, ultimately awaiting their demise. At this time, Patty Nielsen had dialed 911, and in this call, you could hear Eric and Dylan harassing several of their victims before murdering them.
Nice glasses. Was he trying to jump you? Yeah.
Daniel Mauser is the only victim of Columbine who tried to fight back against the killers, unfortunately resulting in his death.
Look what we have here. What? Just some fat fuck. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't kill you. I don't want to get into trouble. Trouble? You don't know what trouble is. That's not what I mean. I don't have trouble with you guys. I'm gonna let this fat fuck live. Little fat fucking piece of shit. You can have him if you want. Let's go to the comments.
Evan Todd states that during this interaction with the killers, he had noted that Eric Harris appeared to have a broken nose and claims that Eric appeared dizzy and wobbly, adding that Eric had to catch his balance. Evan Todd was the last student to speak to Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold during the massacre. After their interaction, Dylan and Eric returned to the commons and fired at the propane tanks that they had placed earlier that never detonated. They were likely trying to detonate the bombs, collapsing the building on themselves. After this had failed, they wandered the school aimlessly before returning to the library. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold fire at police outside, but ultimately do not harm anyone. Eric Harris commits suicide, Dylan lights a Molotov cocktail on the table, and contemplates suicide briefly before taking his life. In the months following the massacre, everyone had one question: why? Why would these two go on a killing spree in their school? Instead of actually trying to figure out why, the media and several religious groups hopped on the shooting as an opportunity to play the blame game and point the finger at Marilyn Manson, going as far to claim that the killers were wearing his merchandise during the attack and that they were members of a cult led by Manson. This couldn't be further from the truth, as the killers didn't even like Marilyn Manson. Instead, they listened to bands like KMFDM and Rammstein. Both were less known in Middle America, so that narrative would be much harder to spin. And sadly, because of these claims, Marilyn Manson became the popular scapegoat, and everyone blamed him for this attack. Instead of actually trying to figure out what happened, they blamed an innocent man who had nothing to do with the attack. Why? Well, when you look at Marilyn Manson's reputation leading up to the massacre, it becomes a little bit more obvious. To say he was hated would be an understatement. The media portrayed him as the leader of a teenage rebellion. So of course, when Columbine came around, the media was quick to point the finger. I'd go as far as to say that they wanted something like this to happen. The average American watched the news and saw two teenagers in trench coats inspired by Marilyn Manson murdered 13 people in their school on April 20th. And of course, given his reputation, many parents were quick to take this at face value and believe it. But I would also argue that the media intentionally lied to cover up the fact that the killings were a result of the constant harassment and bullying that Eric and Dylan endured at Columbine High School. This is a much harder narrative to spin since it implies that the victims of the assault are also the cause of the assault. Nobody wants to blame the victims. Obviously, not all the people who were killed or injured participated in the bullying. I mean, just look at Rachel Scott. There is no way anybody's gonna go ahead and make a claim that she was a bully or a jock in high school. But to say that this massacre was caused because of music or whatever, and it has nothing to do with the school itself, would be just straight up lying. It's really hard to accept, but this massacre just would not have happened if Dylan and Eric had not been harassed daily in Columbine High School. So that's going to do it for the portion of the video where I'm actually talking about Columbine itself. From here on out, I primarily want to focus on the impact that Columbine has had as a whole. So what we're going to talk about now is how Columbine has influenced future school shooters. And believe me, it's fucked up.
Today's closer look, the legacy of Columbine. Ever since that mayhem 15 years ago, we've seen more and more of these mass shootings, many by troubled young men inspired by the Columbine killers.
Perhaps no case demonstrates the Columbine obsession more than the 2006 shooting spree of this sadistic North Carolina killer. He convinced a family member to drive him to Columbine.
Columbine High School, right there. And you see over there? That's the library. That's where everything took place, right there.
He bought the same guns.
This, my friends, is what Eric Harris used in the Columbine Massacre.
He even dressed like them.
Operation Columbine is underway.
Tragically, it was more than just play acting. The suspect shot and killed his father, then opened fire at his high school, wounding 2 students.
Remember Columbine!
My number one idol is Eric Harris. I think I just see myself in him.
What is there to say about this that hasn't already been said? And I'll just be honest. Not a lot. There's absolutely no denying the fact that Columbine has had an impact on school shootings, but I would argue that it is mostly the Columbine community who constantly circulates and glorifies this story. That story of, if I kill X amount of people, I will instantly become famous. And to an extent, that is true. In recent years, Nicholas Cruz has accomplished such thing. And guess what? They leaked his phone records, and sure enough, he has searched Columbine multiple times. Adam Lanza was fucking obsessed with Columbine. Now, I'm kind of stretching with this one, that's for sure, but most of these people would have never done what they had done if the thought hadn't been planted in their head. Sky Boucher is a prime example of the kind of person that I'm trying to talk about here. A lot of these people, the idea of shooting their school is just a dark fantasy that they suppress. They use it as a coping mechanism. The majority of the people in this fan base are not actually planning on shooting up their schools. But given the nature of this kind of a fan base, you are going to have at least 1 or 2 Adam Lanzas or Sky Boucher who take it a step too far. Now, you don't know about Sky Boucher most likely because Sky Boucher, he gave up immediately. He pulled the trigger and he just realized, nope, this ain't for me, man. He had a reality check too late. Unfortunately, somebody had to lose their ankle as a result of his stupidity.
Sky, are you sure you're the only one?
Yes, sir, but...
Because I'm telling you, your world's gonna...
There's a but. What is the but?
It's gonna be bad if you don't frickin' tell us everything.
No, I'm saying that today is the day of Columbine, so other people are going to do what I do, just because.
Do you know of other people that are doing the same thing?
I'm a lone wolf. There's no one else that I worked with. I'm telling you the truth, alright? There's no reason for me to at you right now, because I gave up after 1 shot. And I'm telling you everything I know.
The kid you shot, was he a random kid or something?
I shot through the door. I didn't know the gun would even work. I just wanted to scare people. I didn't even know this.
So you've been planning since 2013?
Fantasy. I've been on.
Because, I mean, we know about it.
Yeah, I know. I know you do.
So this is planned?
The fantasy is calm and gone, but when I get depressed, things start coming back. But I don't think about it.
Because of the nature of this community, it is going to attract violent individuals. Not all of them are violent. That is a key thing. Not all of them are. But the likelihood of there being violent individuals in this kind of a fan base are significantly higher than that of something like My Little Pony or Homestuck. Should there be a Columbine fan base? Absolutely not. But why is there a fan base? Well, I said it earlier, death is something that fascinates a lot of people. Unfortunately, some people take this fascination and turn it into obsession, and that's where there is an issue. It is okay to be fascinated with something. It is not okay to be obsessed with something to the point where you take action, especially when it is something as violent as this. But then this raises a really, really big question. How could we prevent this from happening again? Unfortunately, there really is no good answer. The best solution is to just look out for each other. Little Timmy is in the corner with his hoodie on every single day, constantly looking at pictures of guns. Maybe he's someone who we should report or at least talk to him. Understandably, it's difficult to confront someone that you think might be thinking about shooting their school, because it puts a target on your back. You're now seen as a threat, and that is a very, very real possibility if this person is actually trying to plan something. Now, on the other hand, this kid could just be baiting for attention, and you're going to find a lot of people in this community fall under that category. Say one day little Timmy comes in with a trench coat and he's pointing finger guns at everybody in class, and now he's very openly aggressive. Yes, take action. Now, there's a caveat to this. Teenagers are edgy. They make a lot of edgy jokes. They just think it's funny to constantly be edgy. That's not really much to be concerned about, to be honest. What you really need to be concerned about is behavior. If somebody is genuinely planning something and they have intent to carry it out, they're most likely not going to be very obvious to spot. A lot of people who were friends with Dylan and Eric said that there was a completely other side to them that they had no idea about. None of their friends saw it coming. So of course it's going to be very difficult when identifying threats. Now, outside of our level, there's definitely a lot that law enforcement can do. They can monitor internet searches. Nicholas Cruz is a prime example. As I said before, his phone history was released to the public. His search history plays out like a story. It paints a very clear picture of who he was and what he was planning. How should we monitor internet searches? Keywords. If somebody searches, for instance, AR-15 site, that's nothing necessarily to be alarmed about. People go shooting all the time for sport. Now, say hypothetically, theoretically, someone were to search, what is the best firearm to use in close quarter combat indoors? That is something to be a little bit more concerned about. Take it a few steps further. Once again, hypothetically, theoretically, somebody searches, what is the best firearm to disperse crowds? That is definitely something to be concerned about. Search histories would definitely be a case-by-case basis. Here's some quotes from Nicholas Cruz's search history. Is killing people easy? Homicidal thoughts and urges. Therapist for homicidal thoughts. Best AR-15. Various Wikipedia searches on school shootings. AR-15 close quarter combat. Real combat footage. School shooter footage. Virginia Tech Massacre. Videos made by Virginia Tech shooter. Columbine documentaries. Columbine dramas. Even if you don't know what this guy did, just looking at his search history is definitely enough to raise a few red flags. Once somebody ends up on a hot list, they should definitely be monitored closely. As I said before, if you were to search, for instance, just AR-15, and that's a one-time case, okay, that's whatever. However, you combine AR-15 with the context of just previously searching school shootings, now you have school shooting, AR-15, where can I buy one? The story changes drastically depending on previous searches. One single search is not enough to put somebody on a high-risk status. It's all about a pattern. Likely there are way better ways to prevent these kind of tragedies from reoccurring, but my two big ones are monitor the search history and keep an eye out for the people around you. Time has come. Everything that this video has been is leading up to this moment, so you could tell I'm pretty fucking excited right now. Because right now, we get to destroy the true crime community on Tumblr and expose it for what it really is. A bunch of horny teenage girls. Oh man, I am so fucking excited. Let's get into this shit right now because it's actually really funny. Given that now I have showed you everything by the books, what happened at Columbine, what the effects of Columbine are, and why having a fan base surrounding Columbine is not healthy, and as a matter of fact, all it's gonna really do is influence future school shooters to go out and do the same thing. Let's show you why they are influenced. Unfortunately, a decent amount of them just want attention. And Tumblr is happy to provide that attention. Another thing is a lot of these girls on Tumblr, they think that, oh man, I like Eric Harris. I'm so quirky. Look at me. You're not fucking quirky. You're stupid. They're not in it for the research. They are not in it because they're genuinely fascinated. They're in it because these people see Dylan and Eric as like their favorite YouTubers or their favorite fucking K-pop stars. And something that they like to do is they like to fictionalize the fuck out of them. They will make up their own personalities for these killers just to make them more likable. I've already gone through this previously, so I'm not going to go through it to the same extent that I did there. But you need to understand, it's true. Everything that I'm telling you is true. Tumblr is a cesspit. And the reason I say it's only Tumblr is because you go to the Columbine subreddit on Reddit, and everyone is handling it professionally. Nobody is seeking out information on these killers so that they could go and write their fan fictions. I'll say it so many times because it is the truth. These people are not interested in Dylan and Eric anymore. They're not interested in Columbine. They're interested in this high school drama that they've created. I'm gonna go through a bunch of photos that I found on Tumblr because these teenagers are so hip and so cool with their Tumblrs and their Facebooks. Rare image of Dylan. This photo makes me so sad. I think he was redeemable at this point in his life. Looks like 1997. He looks very peaceful, and something tells me that this is the image that Sue and Tom have in their minds of their lost son. This is heartbreaking. You're gonna notice one thing about the majority of these posts. Everybody is defending Dylan because, as I said before, they think that Dylan Klebold was all depressed. The reality of the situation is they're trying to defend Dylan because they think Dylan's the hot one. That's the fucking truth. So on the surface, this would be, you know, it's questionable at most. But then when you actually, and this is another thing that you have to take note of, the people who post it, when you look into their account, that's when you really see a pattern. This one's name is Absolute Vodka. You look into their account and you see it's nothing but romanticizing Columbine. On the surface, what these people are trying to say, you know, it's questionable. Bringing in the parents is very questionable because I doubt Sue Klebold would like you specifically as a person. I don't even want to talk about the parents in this video because there are too many emotions that will have to get involved there. So I'm not in it for the emotion. I'm in it for the facts. It's borderline evil to even try and involve the parents in your fucking high school drama scheme. Honestly, their look was fire, and I gotta agree. I mean, I'm rocking the trench right now. You know, I personally do think that trench coats are really, really nice and fashionable. And believe me, I really hate Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris for fucking it up for us because I love trench coats. And now whenever I wear a trench coat around, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's the Columbine! It's the Columbine!" Oh, what I would do to be a teenager at Columbine in 1998. Yeah, I really wish you could go and trade places with, you know, Cassie Bernal or Rachel Scott or Isaiah Scholes or Daniel Mauser. That man was a fucking hero, by the way. That is one of the most disrespectful things that I've ever fucking heard on this platform. Go fuck yourself. This one's actually really funny to me personally because I've actually read their journals and I know this person hasn't. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. What interests me the most about them is their writings, their sense of humor, and their god complex. They believe themselves to be gods, sent to this world to purify society's ills or something. It's kind of embarrassing to admit, but reading Dylan's journals inspired me to get back into writing my weird poetry. The way he wrote was so similar to how I wrote when I was a teenager. Well, you must have really been a pretty shit poet then, because Dylan Klebold's journal is just a cesspit of garbage. And believe me, it is not worth the read. When somebody gets something small wrong about Columbine, and you're trying not to burst out this encyclopedia of knowledge you have on it. Well, I hope I got anything wrong throughout the duration of this video so that I pissed you off, because you certainly pissed me off. Go fuck yourself. Also, in addition, I doubt I really got anything significant wrong because, unlike you, all of my research came directly from the source. I didn't go on Tumblr, I didn't go on Reddit to get my information. All the information I got on this video was directly from the killers or Jefferson County. Honestly, he is best boy. Do you see what I'm fucking saying? It's always Dylan. It's always fucking Dylan. Love this little thing. Yeah, you're so quirky and original. Oh my god. Yeah, that sweet little guy who killed 13 people. He's so fucking cute. Did he wear that white shirt underneath the clothes/shirts he was already wearing because he refused to take his shirt off in gym? I forgot what their gym uniforms were. I think I read somewhere it was blue shorts and a white shirt. Why the fuck do you care? It's because I know it's not out of curiosity. I know it's because you just want to cosplay him more accurately. Either that or you're just trying to get some kind of information because, oh, maybe you think he was maybe you think he was shy or whatever, and you just really want to know that because you want to spin it in such a funny way, like, oh, this quirky little guy. Huh. You wish you were with him tonight, huh? You sure about that? You sure? Cause I remember this is in Eric's journal at least. The dude, he had an entire fucking paragraph. He was going into how he wanted to rape this girl so violently and murder her. So you really want to be with that tonight, huh? Okay. Okay. Fucking Tumblr. Sincerely, if you watch this video and you got offended because you did some of the things or whatever, maybe you're the person that I'm talking about. Confession time. I used to be someone like this, alright? There's a reason I have a trench coat, and believe me, it actually was just because I thought trench coats look fire as fuck. But it definitely was because I was really into Columbine, and it fascinated the fuck out of me when I was in high school. So, of course, you know, I really like their look. I'll give it that. You know, the school shooter looks pretty fire, okay? I'd be a hypocrite if I said that it wasn't. But the issue comes when you start behaving like a school shooter. If you want to dress up like one, that's fine. But know that dressing like one attracts a certain kind of attention, okay? Whether you want that attention or not, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get it. Everyone's gonna see you, and they're gonna see a trench coat. Their first response is gonna be, oh, fuck. I used to wear trench coats in high school, and believe me, it came and bit me in the ass. You make yourself a fucking target for people who don't like you. Yeah, I was a fucking edgelord in high school. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. And I'm very not proud to admit it. I'm also especially not proud of these videos.
Glasses, whack! His coat, whack! His memes, whack! Mine, I'm dank as fuck!
Say something.
I hate most people. Shoot, man. Guess I'm just a natural-born killer. I want a bullet. Although the whack video was pretty funny. But yeah, no. I feel that if I'm able to grow out of it, then you can too. If you're in this community, and I'm really proud of anybody who is able to grow out of it. And if they need help, seek help. That's definitely an important thing. If you're in this community and you are genuinely interested in Columbine, but you're not obsessed with it to where it's changing your personality, or you're going out there romanticizing these killers, I'd recommend that you go check out the subreddit for Columbine and stay off of Tumblr. But no, the subreddit's a really good place, so I'm probably going to post this video on the subreddit, so if the subreddit sees this, keep doing what you're doing, guys. You guys are doing it the right way, okay? Because this is definitely an interesting story. It's just the way that these Tumblr bitches are going about it that is absolutely fucking absurd. I don't think that there's really anything else for me to say about Columbine or the Columbine community in this video. Thank you guys for sticking around. I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I mean, this is one of those topics that interests me, so I want to put effort into this one. But yeah, thank you guys. And fuck Walsh too.